Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Zach.
And this is HITBOX, the gaming show. We talk about whatever the heck we're feeling about in the game industry. And lately we've been doing this go through the years of gaming thing. And we have the last one of this decade chunk before we move on to really a whole new generation of games. And we're going to touch into it in this one just a bit by the end of this episode, but we'll get there. But for now, just to go back and take a look at what games you could play back in 1989, and what was like the new cool stuff coming out, what kind of stuff would shape the industry going forward. The first one we don't want to look at here is Adventures of Lola. All right, just kidding. For some reason, my Adventures of Lola is not booting on here. I can fix that, of course. It just needs to tell it which emulator to use, but that's unfortunate that it's not working. But either way, I can at least show you some of the game here on some of the images. We have a couple more of these coming later, but it's a shame it's not playing because this is a really good puzzle game. And effectively you have a level where there's some enemies there and you need to avoid them. You have one hit and you're dead. You need to redo it. It's just a puzzle game. And you need to figure out how to move certain blocks in a certain way so that you can avoid the enemies, get the treasure, which is basically the key to open up the door to get to the next level.
Simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. That's basically it. It's really fun though. It's a really good fun puzzle game.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, it's really just like introducing interesting little designs or like ways for like the player to like go and figure out how to like get around stuff, or trick enemies or manage your resources well, because it's like a top down. You're pushing blocks around. Sometimes they're to get in the way of an enemy's path, sometimes to make a path forward. A lot of times you need to like creatively redesign like where you're gonna push blocks to make it through stuff. Kind of like how in some Zelda dungeons will do it.
Yeah, because I honestly keep forgetting that this is a game. I just know Lolo and Lola from Kirby.
Yeah,
they're
right. They were in the original Kirby, I believe, which because this is also HAL Laboratories, so it's their property. They were making it just a little fun little Easter egg, but I've actually played this more than the original Kirby. The oldest Kirby that I played a lot of was Kirby on the NES.
Okay.
And I actually thought that was the first Kirby for the longest time, because that's the oldest one where he has his copy ability. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so that's Lolo. It's a fun little puzzle game. Give it a shot whenever you get the chance, if you get the chance. Unlike me right now. Haha, I could have sworn it worked.
It did.
But yeah, anyway, we have a bunch of other games to talk about on here, and the next one is an interesting one. Is Ducktales. So I was considering, like, is this one we really want to keep on here?
Yes, we do.
But at the same time, yes. And normally licensed games, I would say, are nothing that I would really want to put in a list like this. And generally, they're not very historic. There are exceptions, of course, and this is definitely one of them. Yeah. Yeah, so let's go to Transylvania. We're going to fight a Dracula in Dracula's castle. So one thing that's really cool about this, that it's basically started.
You have to hold it down.
Yep, you have to hold it down.
Yep.
You can pogo, and that should look familiar to anyone who's a fan of a lot of indie games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, aside from the fact that this basically is indie games, physics, the currency, there's so much that like this plays just like an indie game.
Yeah, because this was a Capcom game, and they had the exclusive rights to make Disney games. And this is a really good game, to be honest with you, where it's like you go to different areas, you find different items to help you progress.
You're finding treasure, of course.
Yeah, and that's the point of the game. You're trying to get Scrooge McDuck's money vault filled up more, if it wasn't filled up enough already. But yeah, like you said,
you go for directions again, like lots of good scrolling going on.
Yep.
The combat's pretty good.
But going to the indie game thing, it's like, a lot of indie games took a lot of inspiration from this. Shovel Knight being one of my favorites. Yeah. I mean, because they even said, we took the pogo jumping with the shovel from Ducktales.
Yep, from Scrooge McDuck's jump.
Scrooge McDuck.
Which is good. Like, it's a really fun mechanic. And it makes for a really good game. So yeah, I think it just had like a lot of impact on just games to come, and I think that's why it makes it stand out from other licensed games at the time, just because it's so unique.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I think we're gonna try our best to try and stay on pace this episode. We'll see how well that goes.
Try being the key term.
Yeah, try. So here is a series you might have heard of. This is Mother, also known as Earthbound, like, predecessor on the NES. And so I'm jumping into a random save here. I probably shouldn't have done that just so that we can like see maybe like a title card sequence or something like that. Sure, let's try that.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I just mentioned, this is basically the prequel to Earthbound. It was released as Earthbound Beginnings on, I think, the Wii U eShop for the first time.
Yeah, that's the first official American release. Yeah.
I think I'm technically playing that version. Yeah, so Earthbound Zero, that might have been what they called it.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, but...
One or the other.
Yeah, right. So, but still, and it wants me to actually just continue from right there, so it might as well. But yeah, so there is so much that happens in Mother that changes stuff. Where do we start?
Well, the setting. Why don't we start off with that?
Sure. I mean, well, setting and characters and really just like the world in general is bizarre.
Yeah.
If you are in the younger generation, you might be more familiar with Undertale. Undertale very much wears its heart on its sleeve and is a Mother game. It blatantly is. It even steals, and I mean directly steals, some audio clips that are from these games. Like, I believe the famous dog... Bork, that dog. It's from this game.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's just from here because it started out as an Earthbound hack, I believe. So
yeah,
it's that strange, weird aesthetic. That's Mother. That's Mother's thing. So this one's initial story, I think you're still stopping Gygus, but you're playing as Ninten. Is it Gygus?
Yeah, yeah, because that's the whole premise of basically most of the series, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
Yeah, but an alien's going to be coming. He's causing a lot of bad stuff. You are Ninten, a kid with psi powers. And based upon...
well, sort of. I mean, you really just... you have powers, apparently.
Yeah.
You were just in your room, and the house starts shaking, and there's just, like, ghosts attacking the house. You gotta, like, grab, you know, whatever you can find, like a baseball bat, and you're fighting your lamp. And it goes into RPG. It's like a parody on RPGs.
Yes.
And it just does so many weird, bizarre things. It's almost like a passing joke that you have superpowers. Because that isn't important. No, it's almost like that's there because of obligation. The stuff that the game deems important is the fact that, you know, your dad's the telephone. Yep. And, you know, you're just grabbing, like, I just found a baseball bat. I should probably actually equip the thing.
Yep.
But yeah, it's, you have, look at weird stats too, that we have pulling up on screen, like, your, like, wisdom and force. There's a lot of, you know, and offense is not the same as strength and or fight.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of stuff and just kind of renames it and kind of makes it its own, but it still kind of hews closely to, like, genre tropes. You still have a limited inventory. It's still a turn-based game.
Yeah, and similar to Dragon Quest, when you want to interact with something, you have to pull up the menu and then choose the thing on the menu of the thing that you're trying to do. Because, I mean, remember, this is still NES, and it was Maniac Mansion that really started getting, like, the point-and-click thing going down, if you remember from a previous episode, so... This is even still a lot once we get to... Like, this is a luxury that we're going to have on Super Nintendo later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Mother is mostly known for its very bizarre nature. I just talked to that dog, I think.
The family pet, yeah.
Yep, you just talked to him, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? It's the dog.
Who wouldn't want to talk to a dog?
I believe the game's story, it just starts getting really out of control later, I guess as you would expect. It's been a while, honestly. I know a lot more of Earthbound and Mother 3 off the top of my head, but this one is a little hazier, so I'm starting and trying to play through it for the first time. But yeah, it's also got a lot of old NES jank. This game was really huge and had a lot of development hell problems. Yeah. Especially as we know, famously, the sequels will also have some development hell problems. Yeah, but still. Very, very important and influential game for its time. However, I think that just because of it being ported, Earthbound is probably the more impactful, important one as it came out.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
So we have a couple other ones we want to show pictures-wise for. We wanted to at least play a few things before we jumped into that, but of course, Lolo's decided not to work.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, yeah. This next one, if I actually had my Nintendo Switch plugged in as well, I'd be able to jump in and show you this because Phantasy Star 2 is the next game we want to talk about, and it on the Sega Genesis. I don't think is coming. Is it coming to the NSO? I don't remember. I'll have to double check. That's a recent thing for us as we're recording this right now. So
I think it is. It is part of the Genesis collection. No, Phantasy Star 4.
4. Okay,
Not
so
2.
if you because if you bought the Sega Genesis collection, which is a different thing than NSO, it just gives you a bunch of Sega Genesis games, and you have Rewind and all that stuff. This is included on there, and it's actually how I've played this game. I didn't beat it. I just wanted to dabble in it a little bit because I wanted to learn more about it.
It's a little long, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It would be a little bit of an investment of time for me to get through it, but still, it's... We did briefly talk a little bit about Phantasy Star before on here.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you have this. Why is Phantasy Star 2 so important? We need to talk about it twice.
Well... You're making it sound like you don't want to talk about this.
No, I do.
I know. No, so what's important
I also know you have a bias for RPGs.
How could you tell? I thought I cloaked this well. Okay, anyway.
Definitely not.
No, not at all. So it's important because this is an early game for the Sega Genesis. The Genesis had a head start on the Super Nintendo by a couple years, and they really wanted to try to wow people with what they could do. Genesis does what Nintendo
don't.
Yep. And so the Genesis, unfortunately, is not really known for a lot of RPGs, but the ones they do have are really good.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's some really good ones on there, but yeah, I mean, if you're directly comparing it to Super Nintendo, I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I like about this one is that it takes place in the same universe as the first game, only 1,000 years in the future.
That's so cool.
All the planets are totally different now. Like, the one that you're on, Motavia, was a desert planet in the first game. Now, because of what's known as the Mother Brain, yeah.
I like it 10% more now.
She's actually terraformed this world to be a lush green paradise. But of course, something's going on, and you, as basically this game's version of a policeman, are sent out by the government in order to figure out why genetically modified monsters are roaming and causing trouble.
Right.
And it's got, honestly, a pretty in-depth and at times like kind of compelling story. It's like
that's a lot of work for back then to try and put that much effort into trying to get that to function.
Yeah, and spoilers a little bit for like a game from like 1989, a game that's as old as I am.
Yeah.
By the way.
I think you'll forgive us.
Yeah. That's like within like the first like few hours, there is a main character death. Like one of the player characters.
That did not happen often.
No.
Final Fantasy would eventually start loving that, but mostly to like cycle out your party as an excuse to do that.
There was a reason though for that one, but yeah, it still was not done. I mean, it's like you had everyone, and if they just died, it's like it was like, oh, just restart.
Right.
No, in story, this character dies, and she's gone forever.
Wow.
It's like, sheesh.
Yeah, that's a really big thing when no one else has ever thought to do a thing like that.
Yeah.
When, it's a video game, you would think that the object is to play it perfectly, get to the end, and have everyone survive, but if the story is demanding that the character dies, then like imagine if like you get to the end of a beat 'em up in the story, and you fight the final boss, you deplete their HP to 0, and a cutscene happens, and the final boss like crushes your head in and you die.
Right.
No one would accept that.
I'd be so mad.
Well, imagine now you play an RPG and you invest in this character and that character dies. Yeah. I don't want to mention other games where this happens because I don't want to spoil too many, but it happens and it's shocking even today when this happens. So.
But yeah, so again, really good game, and it showed that Sega was actually really good at putting out other games besides arcadey action games.
Yes, there is there is a lot of that on the Genesis. However, there is a lot of other hidden gems that unfortunately get overlooked. But fortunately, you have that Sega Genesis collection that I mentioned. You can still play all this stuff.
Oh yeah, very
easily today. So we have another one we want to jump up to. This is, however, not Sega Genesis. They wish. Whoa, there's no way. Could it even run?
Super Nintendo had a version of this.
Did it? Well,
but it was a downgrade.
It was a downgraded version, right?
Yeah.
So the game we're going to be talking about is Prince of Persia. You might be thinking, how on earth is it that old? But the original Prince of Persia, because there are, I think, how many times have they re-released this game? Or like remake? I played another game on PC that looked like it was from the Xbox 360 generation called Prince of Persia.
I have to count this. Like 3 or 4 times this series has kind of gone through a soft or a hard reboot.
Right, and to be fair, those games are fine.
Oh, I love Sands of Time.
We might talk about Sands of Time when we get there, but honestly, this one is the big one, and nobody remembers this game.
No, and it's sad.
Yeah, it is, because this is, like, incredible for what it's doing.
Oh, yes.
So, where do I start? So, the animations for this game, it's, like, so fluid. You are, like, I know you really can't, like, see this in action. I encourage you to, like, look it up, try and find some footage of this, because it's incredible.
Yes.
I believe it was done frame for frame of, like, actual actors, and they were, like, sprite drawing on top of it.
Yeah, so the creator, Jordan McNair, used a technique called rotoscoping, which is you film something in live action, and then you take that footage and you trace over it, and you get lifelike animation. He had his brother wearing a towel basically run around and do like the various actions you can do in the game, and he reanimated all that himself.
It is beautiful, and also the fact that, like, yes, you're running and jumping across platforms, you're sword fighting. I believe you're also, like, climbing ledges. I think you're swinging too.
The later games.
Do you swing?
Not this one.
I think you climb though.
You do climb. Yeah.
I don't know the swinging. I'm not positive. That was more of like the Bionic Commando thing
but
at that
no,
time.
That came later in the series. But
okay.
Yeah, no, you act. Like, the whole point of the game, real quick, is that you're the Prince of Persia.
We should mention that.
Yeah.
There's a point.
There's actually a really good story in here.
There is.
No dialogue or anything like that. So you are the Prince of Persia. And, spoilers, the Royal Vizier rats you out and basically throws you into the dungeon. And so that way, you know, he's casting a magic spell, and in 90 minutes, the princess who you are supposed to be marrying and, you know, making peace with another nation, he's going to marry her and assume power for himself. And it is your job to help the prince get out of the dungeon and fight the vizier and save the princess. It's very much Aladdin or 1001 Arabian Nights.
Yeah, and then gameplay, it's almost like Escape the Room Mario Brothers style.
It's also cinematic platform, or like Oddworld, where it's like
right.
And that is one thing I will say. Controls feel really stiff, but everything is built around those animations.
Exactly. I mean, you got to think about it. Whenever you have, and I've complained about this in Ori of the Blind Forest, the more fluid your animations look, the game will look beautiful when you watch it, but if you're playing it, your jump wind-up may be awful or really clunky. Yeah. You might not know exactly where's the edge. I'm trying to climb on this thing. I'm trying to clip into this. And it can be really frustrating.
And the other thing I will say is that this is a screen-by-screen kind of gig.
Yeah.
So you can't always see what's up ahead or up or down below you. It's trial and error that way. But again, the story that you go through, I think really makes the game worth it. Like, there's a shadow version of you that actually has a purpose. And it's just... It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, and to be fair, whatever the heck I played, Prince of Persia, released on PC, whatever that, well, obviously this was PC as well, but much later PC, the one I said that was in the 360 generation, had nothing to do with this. And honestly, that's a discussion for another day if we ever get to that point. It wasn't good. I don't recommend it. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, we have other games that we can actually play today.
Yes, we can.
And let's jump to the next one on the list. What do I have here? It's a good game.
Yep, it's a good game. One of your favorites.
Did I have to add that? Yeah, for the NES. I had to add it on here. That is a shame. Let's at least see the intro on this one.
Yep.
We are going to play a game that actually recently, in the past 5 years or so, River City Ransom is what we're talking about. When did River City Girls come out? Way Forward got their hands on this.
2019.
Yeah, so I was guessing about 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, now that it's gonna
recent.
jump right into this, I'm just gonna go to my gameplay then.
Yep.
So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to play River City Ransom on NES Online, the NSO, play it. This is like, okay, so we showcased Double Dragon earlier.
Yep.
The graphics are miles better, in my opinion. I love the look of this game.
It's stylized and it looks good.
Yeah, it's embracing the 8-bit quality of it, and it's like trying to make like cartoon people.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it. It's like an open world beat 'em up.
Yep.
Where you can like go down different alleys, you can fight all sorts of different guys, get money. And then I'm actually going to go into a dangerous area here because I believe... Sticksville. Because as soon as
this place has gone to the sticks.
Once you start fighting some guys, and I'm waiting for them to show up. Maybe I beat them all? That's...
No?
I don't think that happens in this game.
No, they keep respawning.
Yeah, I thought so.
Maybe
go up.
Yeah, we'll just.
Oh, that was this. I'm gonna go down to the right. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So yeah, you fight a bunch of guys. They all have weapons, which you can pick up. Way more fluid, by the way, than Double Dragon.
Yep.
They can grab stuff. I believe you can run as well. They're jumping. They're kicking. Yeah, you can jump. And then on top of that, you saw they dropped money.
Yep.
So if we have money, I'm gonna go up in here and show you. You can now take the money, go into shops, and spend your money effectively on power-ups that will permanently affect your stats of the game. So the longer you're playing, we're gonna buy some waffles.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
What do you like to do? Is this what you like? Yes. And then the person actually brings you the waffles. You eat the waffles.
And plated, looks like.
Yep, and plated everything. Agility up, strength 1 up, stamina 30 up, max power is maxed out. Anything else? And yeah, you could just keep eating food based on how much money you've got, and you make your character stronger by just finding more money. And you are, I forget the main story of what you were trying to do. And you know what? Just for the sake of doing it,
I think you're still trying to rescue your girlfriend.
Are you?
I believe
Which is
so.
weird. Is that actually the protagonists of
River City Girls?
River City Girls. That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to.
You're saving Kunio-kun.
I meant to delete there, not use this, but regardless, that's basically River City Ransom, and it's a lot of fun because it's got that RPG itch, but it's also got beat 'em up action.
Yeah.
And like you can go in different directions. There's so much to it, and you look at this cover and you'd think like. Some, bargain bin. Yeah. It doesn't look nearly as good as it is. And so many people remember Double Dragon and not this.
Well, because the series that it came from, Kunio-kun, didn't really take off here in the States. We sporadically only got a few titles.
Yeah.
So it's probably some of it, but it's still a really good game. It's one of those games that really does the whole genre mashup really well, especially for so early in video games, lifetime.
Agreed.
But moving on, I think.
Moving on.
To one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And yours, I think.
Yeah, from the NES, yeah. However, I will say, right now, I'm sorry, we're doing 1, 2, and 3 for this series, but each one was uniquely worth talking about.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen often, so that should be a good thing. We're talking about Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse.
Dracula's Curse.
So you think, Simon was trying to get rid of his curse last time, and he just resurrected Dracula to get rid of the curse. Why is there another curse?
Well, let me stop you right there, Jimbo. Because this is a prequel. We are playing.
It's already stupid.
We're already. Yeah, the timeline for Castlevania is. I used to have the whole thing memorized. That's how much I love this series.
Yeah,
regardless.
My Metroid is your Castlevania. Which is funny how they become married in their own genre in the West only, but we'll get to that.
But you play as Trevor Belmont, the ancestor to Simon Belmont.
We'll get into more of that later, because you're like, technically, there's an asterisk at the end of that, and we'll address the asterisk later.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so Dracula's come back. This is like the 1400s, and so I don't see now all my lore's mixed up because everything is so mixed together. I don't remember if it's the church or if it's like some other group that wants you to go in and kill Dracula. I forget.
I don't remember, but yeah, your basic. Oh well, I'm sure if we read it, if you went through and read what was going on screen, then yeah you would have seen everything what was going on. Your basic. Here's all that you really need to know. Another Belmont is going to go into another Dracula's castle to kill, defeat, / put in the ground, temporarily banish Dracula. Again. So why is this one so memorable? Oh my god. It's hard. For one.
Yes. Especially the North American version.
Good lord, which is what I'm playing right now.
But at least you don't have to beat it this time.
No, I think I have a save state. Yes, I do. Yep. So I'm going to jump into this one just so we can get into the gameplay.
So what makes this one special is that this game adds different characters you can play as.
Yes, and we're not there yet.
And branching paths.
And unfortunately, I can't showcase it in this either, because the version I played was actually on the Switch Castlevania collection.
Yes.
Also recommend you give that a go if you're into try and action platformers. They're awesome.
They are really good. Some of the best of their genre.
They are, and also there's the Castlevania Advance Collection was a new one.
That.
Yes, we need Konami to understand that these are good games, and we really want more.
But so the whole thing is, at the end of each level, or not each level, but at certain levels, you're given a choice of which route you want to take.
Yes, and also, even still, I'm not positive on this. I could remember it wrong, but weren't there branching paths within the levels? Like alternate ways to make it certain places?
I think that's later? I don't really remember. It's been a while.
I thought that was in this one. See, I'm playing a lot of different Castlevanias all at the same time, so I'm not positive anymore, but still.
I've been asking too.
For sure, when you beat, specific levels, at the end you will have the option to go up or down. And I didn't really realize when I was playing my version, going down every time is not a good idea.
No.
That's what I did, because I was like, well, I asked Kim the first time. I was like, hey, Kim, should I go up or down? She says down. I'm like, okay. And then once I was going further, I was like, I might as well just stay consistent. I'm going to keep going down. Otherwise, I'm going to get confused at where I am. That way, I know which route I took. That was a goddamn mistake.
He told me what he was doing. I'm like, wait, you did not get Grant Dynasty? And he's like,
no.
Who?
I was like, who's Grant Dynasty?
I'm like, did you get Sypha Belnades? He's like, who's a Sypha?
No. He's like, I got Alucard. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm like, oh my lord, you made this way harder on yourself than you had to.
I did. I played the hardest version of this game. To be fair, I played the hardest version of the Japanese one, which, as we said, was easier, as in you take less damage from hits.
And there's fewer enemies.
Right.
But it's still hard as
Yeah, it doesn't change the level design, which there's so many pits later where it's like, you have to wait for, wait for, like, blocks to fall from the ceiling to, like, form what you're trying to.
Yep, you can just walk across the...
Oh, right, I forgot.
That's why the Medusa heads are there. Jerks. Anyway, but yeah, so depending on which path you take, determines sometimes what character you actually get as a selectable.
Clearly.
Yes, if we didn't make that obvious.
Ooh, hold on, and stopwatch. Haha!
There you go.
Screw you guys.
Depending on who you get, also helps determine, or, you know...
you can also power each one of them up,
yes.
too. As in, like, say... your Belmont in the beginning, you can power up your whip, like always.
Yep.
But say, the only one I know, when you have Alucard, you can power up your ability to shoot like more fireballs or bats or whatever the heck they were out of your cape. And you can shoot more of them.
And it also determines different flavors of the ending, because there's multiple endings in this game. Now...
As if anybody would get that far in the American version.
People did, apparently.
So, did we actually get credits this time?
I don't think so, no.
Oh my God.
I don't remember.
Flea Man before he kills me. Yes.
There you go. Okay. Now,
so yeah, it's still just as terrifyingly hard as the original Castlevania, and this is just the beginning, and it gets so
much harder,
so much worse.
Now, and I think you wanted to bring up something about the endings real quick, right?
How
mangled they were?
That was Castlevania 2.
Was it 2 or was it 3?
That was 2.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Castlevania 3...
they actually got it right?
I believe so. Yeah, because it's not like you beat it and you have, like, a different companion watching the castle crumble away with you. No, that was fine. Or, I don't know, but when I actually beat that, I was kind of in, like, a fever haze. Like, Dracula was insane.
Yeah.
But still, really hard, but really fun and rewarding game to play. I'm gonna recommend, like Ninja Gaiden, if you want to play it with like a guide. This one, because you're gonna need to know like what's the best route for me to take. I didn't know that going into it, but also something with like save states. Maybe rewind if it's possible. Rewind I don't think was a thing on the. No, it is a thing on the Castlevania collection. So that should help you out a lot. But yeah, also it with Ninja Gaiden, they're in that same family where they're great if you're able to get through it. I would still personally recommend playing Castlevania 1 first.
Yeah, so that you get used to it and it's like weird quirks.
Right, and this is like dipping its toe into what we're gonna get later with Castlevania, where it full on goes, hey, Metroid's cool. Let's do that. Yeah, they say it's Zelda, but it's totally Metroid. But still, we have another one that I get to play with you guys today, and this is actually going to be a interesting diversion. This is the first time we're moving off of the NES. I get to show you some of these other things. Hold on, that's not true. Did we go to the NSX or we went to Famicom Disk System? So
Famicom.
Just kidding, I'm lying. But for the first time, we are hitting the Game Boy,
which released in 1989.
Yep, Game Boy is actually out, and a wonderful launch title.
Yep,
Super Mario Land. So it only makes sense. Nintendo's going to make a brand new, portable console. Have its own portable Super Mario game. That's just like crazy in and of itself. Now, granted, you're probably gonna be watching this like, this looks like crap, especially if you've seen Mario Land 2,
Wario Land,
or any of the Wario Land games. Yes, but granted, you got to keep in mind this is a launch title, and it plays surprisingly well.
We had Tetris to go with this.
Exactly.
It's like
like it was this or Tetris, and honestly, this is a phenomenal game for what it is.
Yeah, and I like Tetris as much as the next guy, but I would rather play.
I agree.
Mario
I would
than
so
Tetris,
rather play
given
Mario.
the choice.
Yes. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I gotta say though, some of the levels get really hard. Also, some weird stuff happens. Like we just saw, like some of the physics they couldn't quite get right. So like when you stomp on a Koopa, their shell, instead of like smacking around with like the physics and all that, it instead just becomes a bomb and blows up where it is. So you just have to know to leave. Also, that was really strange. I don't know what happened there, but the game is kind of finicky sometimes with what works. Honestly, it's the castle stages that drive me crazy with like the fireballs bouncing around the room. And speaking of fireballs, the fire flower in this game, I guess they couldn't program that either, but since I'm doing such a bad job, I'm not able to actually get a fire flower. But basically, you would just see one ball just jump around the screen.
Yep.
And that's your fire flower.
The Super Ball, as they called it.
The Super Ball, because they really just couldn't get it to work. And I mean bounce around the screen, because there is no physics whatsoever with, like, they couldn't get it to bounce on the floor, but they got it to bounce. You gotta keep in mind, the Game Boy was so limited with what it could do, so...
Now, we would eventually get bouncing fireballs, but again, being a launch title and not exactly figuring out the best way to get things done, they did what they could. And the other thing I think that
I'm going to try my best to hold on to a fireball while you keep talking.
Shigeru Miyamoto was not the head of this project. It was, I believe, R&D 1, led by Gunpei Yokoi.
Yes, I think so.
And so they didn't adhere to a lot of, Mario tropes, really.
Yeah, right, which is why this is Super Mario Land, and they've also done a lot of other odd stuff, like there is no Princess Peach.
Nope.
I believe there's no Bowser.
Nope. It's Princess Daisy, and you gotta save her from aliens in lands inspired by the real world, like ancient Egypt.
Yep.
The Amazon jungle, the moon. I think is in here.
I think the moon's in here.
Oh no, the moon.
Is that the next one?
Yeah, it's the second. But you're going underwater in a submarine. Oh yeah, and there's side-scrolling shooter levels.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Dang it, I did it again.
But yeah, so there's a lot in here that they tried to do.
There it was too. Whatever. But anyway, take my word for it. Yeah. Super Ball, look it up, it's hilarious. But still, yeah, there was a lot they were needing to get done to get this to actually, like, run properly on the Game Boy. And it's really impressive. We'll get to Super Mario Land 2 if it's a big enough entry and it looks like we can fit it into that year. But just for what it was, Super Mario Land was a very important launch title for the Game Boy. Because otherwise, I mean, Tetris was the one that really sold like crazy. Also, it, like, applied to everybody. Everyone could play Tetris, and you could keep it in your desk at work, and someone could have Tetris, and they wouldn't be interested in video games, but they just like, having Tetris at work. And that really helped sell the Game Boy. But, like, bringing people from that into the, I want to play, video games, like a bigger, I don't want to say Tetris isn't a video game, obviously, we mentioned that, but like, a bigger, I want to play an adventure, I want to play I want to play a platforming game. Then Mario Land was the one that really allowed people to jump in and do that, especially when the Game Boy just came out.
Exactly.
We have a couple more that we're going to show you, and actually, I got to switch systems, and we're back! We are jumping over to my Super Nintendo Classic, which luckily I was able to get for this show, which was not easy, by the way.
For what you told me,
Oh my god, it was not easy. Long ordeal. We'll not get into it now, because it's obviously not part of this year. And, Super Nintendo Classic doesn't come out in 1989. But instead, I wanted to jump to this specifically because there is actually a port of an arcade game that we want to play on here for you guys, and it is Final Fight. Now, we're technically not going to be playing this exact same version was the arcade, but it is close. It's close enough.
It's close enough for our purposes.
If we're going to be talking about Final Fate ever, this is going to be the time to do it.
Yeah.
So, Mike Hager.
I love this game so much.
Let's talk about some Final Fight. I'm going to just jump right into the gameplay.
So this is basically the preeminent beat 'em up. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm playing as Hager. I'm sorry.
You gotta play as.
I gotta play as Hager.
The mayor.
The mayor. This is the mayor of the city.
A former pro wrestler turned mayor. Where have I heard something like that before?
Good punch.
So,
yeah, just going around beating up his people.
His constituents. But the real story is, the Mad Gear Gang has taken over the city, and originally in the arcade it was 3 people, but only 2 for Super Nintendo for some reason. But you were out to stop the Mad Gear Gang after they kidnapped Mike Hager's daughter and the girlfriend to Cody, who was the other character you could play as. Guy is just there. Guy is just there.
Boosh.
This is again another Capcom thing. This is where, this is where I think everything just came together for the beat 'em up world.
Yeah.
And because of this Capcom.
Oh right, you can actually pay HP to do those special attacks too. I should not ever do that.
Sometimes.
If I'm desperate,
but if you're good enough, you don't have to get good.
Also, if you turn around, you switch which overall you have on your suspender.
And it's like that in the arcade game too. But
it's just the sprite.
The game controls really well.
It does, yeah.
You only have 2 buttons to worry about: a jump and your attack. And depending on what you're doing determines what kind of attack you're going to perform. This was a huge game. Enough that people were satisfied enough with the inferior Super Nintendo version. like what we're playing.
Yeah, right.
And it was ported to a lot of stuff at the time too. Sega CD got one. There was a special version of this game that came out for Super Nintendo called Guy Edition, where it replaces Cody and just puts Guy in. So it's still only 2 characters.
I almost got it on here. I considered it.
You don't need to know.
But anyway, it's just a good time.
It is such a good time. It does have that arcade, just. The game hates you.
Yeah.
Like, it wants your money, so it's gonna throw. Yeah, like ball. Oh, he's not called Ball Bull.
Ball Bull. Yeah.
I'm so thrown
for
off.
Punch Out.
Yeah. But anyway, it throws a lot of enemies at you, and they can do a ridiculous amount of damage. You don't have a lot of invincibility to work with.
Yeah, you really don't.
And you can get jumbled very easily. But once you get into the mechanics and you practice, man, is this game such a fun romp.
It is, yeah. And this is a really faithful port, by the way.
It's
for what the Super Nintendo could do.
Yeah.
Because it really looks and plays like a Super Nintendo game. Now, it has only a little bit to do with the fact that I have a CRT filter running at the moment.
Yeah.
We can move back. Because I've actually got another game that I can play for you guys using my Super Nintendo Classic. Once again, this is another port. And to be fair, this is not from an arcade. It's kind of a different version, but we'll never actually play the Super Nintendo version of this unless we talk about it now.
Yep.
SimCity. SimCity comes out that year. And yeah, actually right there. The copyright says 1989. Yeah, I didn't know that I'd said that in here, but there we go.
Well, there you go.
I'm glad that we got. Well, now we have a Nintendo building in the background. Very nice. And SimCity. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, wow, I played a lot of this on whatever would have been installed on like Windows 98.
I think it was SimCity 2000.
You think? Okay. Yeah. So, at that point, there was, it was basically just more features and stuff from the original SimCity.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna jump in here. Let's do this.
So, what is SimCity, I hear you ask? Well, let me tell you. SimCity is a city management simulator. You are basically mayor and architect of this world, or of the city. So, the whole goal of the game is to make a very balanced world, balanced city, have the necessary amount of industry.
Right. Really quick, before you get into there, because I want to go past this.
Oh, yeah, go.
While we're on this menu, and obviously if you're just listening to it, I'm sorry about this. The game has, it doesn't like just automatically generate a new map for you to work on. Obviously that would be like next to impossible. Yeah. However, it has 1,999 basically.
Zero count.
1,000 different pre-done maps that you start with. So it effectively has like infinite replay value for someone who's going to sit down and just like keep trying. Yep. You know, do I want like this type of map?
The whole point is that, you know, you want to try to have enough industry to bring in enough people to the residential zone, you know, to get better taxes, and then you have a service industry or the commercial section that comes up. And it's like, again, it's a balancing game. What this one adds, I don't remember about the original PC version, is that
I don't know why.
You having a stroke over there?
Nothing's working. I don't understand what's up here.
I don't understand either.
But yeah, I guess we can at least look at it for a moment.
Yeah.
Because basically city simulation. You know, you're managing your resources. You want to, if people are complaining that all your nuclear power plants are causing too much radiation, you gotta either like move people away from it or find a way to like get the radiation to get like farther away or cleaned up. You need to manage your police force and obviously manage your money. It really, this I think fueled my love of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, it's very similar in that fact to being a business.
Yeah, and I think that one little shift of the context of like the setting of managing a city versus a theme park. A theme park's just fun. So going back and just doing it with the city is still really cool enough. But still, there's only so much you can do with it, and back in this day, it's still like there's so many things going on that you get to manage, and there's even more mechanics that were like entwined with this version, this specific version too. That we could go on with the SimCity updates forever, honestly. But I would suggest you give it a shot if you can get it to function.
I would almost say go with any of the SimCity games if you can get your hands on it.
Sure, yeah.
Except for SimCity 2013, 2015. That's a mess. Is it Y?
It's B.
It's B.
It's B. It starts. This is City R. Game level, sure, easy. Is this okay? Yeah, you choose money. I'm pretty sure like you get like quarterly payments. I'm like, and now we're able to showcase it. Well, whatever. I guess at least we're in here now.
Yeah.
I remember the controls were really awkward with this. But yeah, so that's just
like you set up the infrastructure and all that.
Right, just kind of let you look around here so you can see what our map looked like and things moving in real time as well. So you can see like the water's moving. I can choose, start making like police departments, like boops, and fire departments.
If you've got the money.
Right, and you just really need to figure out, okay, well, where are your streets gonna go? Where are people gonna live? Obviously, you need residential for people to need the, right, and everything needs power, more commercial zones needed. It'll like tell you what you've got to do to get stuff working, so. It's a really cool game, a really cool simulator.
It's definitely a type of game that Will Wright is very famous for, that very toy box kind of experience.
It's almost like it might be the first like designed to be a sandbox game that I can think of. Or like a toy box, like a sandbox toy box.
Okay. As far as I'm aware,
I can't think of anything else.
Neither can I.
And we've covered a lot of games already, but I can't. I mean, something would have come up.
Unless if it's just something.
Let us know if you think you've found another huge one that would have been doing something like this earlier.
Right.
But yeah, so SimCity was a very and of course the fun destructible stuff you could do later. I don't think we can actually. Disasters. Which one? We need Bowser.
We gotta get Bowser in here.
Yep. No, I think that's all I needed to do.
I think. I haven't played this version.
I don't remember. Gotta look around if Bowser's not gonna show up, but yeah, so basically you could set different disasters.
Oh, yeah,
here we go. Bowser attack!
And there's
the
Mr. Wright.
The Koopas! Yep.
This is his first appearance.
Has invaded our city while looking for Mario and Luigi. Bowser is destroying everything in sight. Obviously, this was not in the original.
No, it was Godzilla.
Yeah, this was right, which had to get patched out. Contain the fire, see a set, and repair the damage before he decides to return for a second stroll through downtown.
Oh no, he's going to destroy a lone
Here he comes through the water. Because it's obviously Godzilla.
Wow, this game predicted Bowser's Fury way before Bowser's Fury ever was a thing.
Oh my god. See, I'm gonna let him, like... Yeah, he's just gonna tromp right over the residential zone. There it goes.
I don't know what's on fire. Oh, they caught the forest on fire.
Oh, he did. Oh my god, yeah. There must be, like, some sort of, like, physics for every, like, thing, you know, like the woods act their own way, the water acts its own way, you know, power lines. There's so much going on here.
Yeah.
It's just a management thing. It's unbelievable. But anyway, we could talk about any game as, you know, forever. So how about while Bowser destroys the city, we talk about our favorite games of this year?
All right, I'll go first.
Sure.
My favorite game that we have covered, at least on this, and probably of the year, Final Fight.
Final Fight's just a good time.
The arcade game, yes. Oh my god, it's so satisfying. I can't help it.
Yeah. I remember, I think the first time I've ever seen the game was you playing it on, like, was it Capcom Beat 'em Up?
The Beat 'em Up bundle, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, Hager is just awesome. This is just hilarious. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's just a good time compared to a lot of other beat 'em ups at the time. So what was the most influential, Zach?
The most influential, I would say, would probably be Prince of Persia, personally.
Yeah, I mean, where would Tomb Raider or Uncharted ever be if Prince of Persia didn't happen? Just
we probably
saying.
Would get it, but it's like it might just be so far off. It might be so different.
And seasons are changing as we're talking here. I didn't even remember that aspect of
it's
the original SimCity. Yep. Oh, and end of year, you get transactions and tax rates and all that stuff.
We got some money.
You did. Kind of. But anyway, so I'm just gonna start past this just to let. Oh, right. You can mess with your tax rate and all that. For me, I'm gonna say my favorite game to play on here is River City Ransom. Yes, Final Fight will look and play better if we're talking about just beat 'em ups of this year, but the core game loop of River City Ransom, I cannot stress enough, is addicting.
Yeah.
The fact that you have a beat 'em up that's like not an arcade fashion, but like an RPG, where like you actually can play and grind and get stronger, and also its gameplay is still really, really good for what it is.
I'll agree with you on that. Yeah. It's really good.
So if I'm going to say the most influential one out of here, honestly, Prince of Persia is a really great one.
Yeah.
But I am gonna have to say Mother, just for my influential favorites, just because of one, the enormous cult following this series gets.
Yeah.
Two, this might have kind of been the genesis of the quirky game. Or the game that was like almost like a parody game. Now, we had parody games and weird games before this, obviously, but this was the one where it was like
done like from a mainstream publisher.
Yeah. And it was like done really well. Had like a straight face the whole time. It was doing the weird stuff. It's just such a bizarre experience. And then, of course, where it goes later, we would have never had Earthbound, for one. We would have never had Undertale.
No.
Which, I mean, talk about a giant in the indie scene. So yeah, there's a lot to this year. You could even really say that SimCity, now that we have it up, is another like crazy influential one.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So there's a lot of great picks, but we want to hear what you guys think. But thank you guys for tuning into this episode of HITBOX. If you enjoy the show, you can help us keep it alive by supporting us on Patreon with the links in the show notes in this video's description. For those of you on YouTube, remember to like the video and subscribe for more. And be sure to let us know what you thought of the show and what other topics you would like to hear us cover in the future. And special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon members.
See ya.